they avoided me sometimes.
Hello. Maybe not all dreams should come true.
All dreams should come true. Well, they don't. They don't should. They will. Hello guys. So as you heard in my last video, if you watched it, I mentioned that I failed some of my A levels, which meant that I didn't get into my first choice, which was UCL, and I decided to create a separate video on this because sometimes when things don't go in accordance with the plan, it doesn't mean that you failed. Even though you might think that you failed, and even though people might think that you failed, but failures are actually, in my opinion, things that help us to realize our true full potential. And if you fail at something, it's either because you are learning how to be better at this, and it means you didn't fail, like you just learned. Either if you did all your best in order to succeed but you failed, it might mean that it's kind of like life is trying to show you that you need to go on a different path in a different direction slightly. At least this is what happened to me. When I was 18, I moved to the UK to study A-levels here because I really wanted to go to like one of the top 10 universities in the UK, and the only way for me to do it was to actually do A-levels because universities here don't really accept our Russian exams. Or at least I was told this back then, maybe things changed now. So I went to do A-levels. And it didn't scare me that I need to do 2 more years of school. I was fine with that because I was so determined to actually go to London and live in London at some point in my life. And in order to do that, I needed first to get into university in the UK and then get into a job, and to get to university you need to go to school first. So it was kind of like a part of the long-term plan. And I was so determined. I don't even know why. It was like kind of something intuitive, something inside me was telling me, yes, go to London, go to England. So I was studying in the UK, thanks so much to my parents who allowed me to do this. I told you that my first choice was UCL, but before that my first choice was Cambridge. When we were applying first to our universities, it was in October. I remember everyone was applying in January, but if you wanted to apply to Oxford or Cambridge, you needed to apply in October. I applied to Cambridge whenever it was September, October. And we had a test first, and it was economics test because I wanted to study economics, and I needed 2 A stars and an A, like something crazy. I mean, I know that some people get this grade, some people get like 4 A stars in 4 subjects. Guys, you are amazing, really. But even though I'm determined, I'm like still like, wow, 2 A stars, that's a lot. And I did this test that they sent me from Cambridge, and I actually passed it, even though this test was including lots of content that I haven't studied before. But I mean, I was trying to prepare, I was trying to like quickly in 1 month do like 1 year worth of content, of economics content of the year 13. And then I passed this test. I was so happy. Then they invited me to the interviews, and there were 2 interviews. And the day when I went to Cambridge, on the train to Cambridge, I was reading all the economics news of that day. I was like, okay, I can speak about this, I can speak about that. And then when I arrived to Cambridge, I didn't realize that I have 2 interviews. I thought I had 1. And you know, all this energy, everything, like all this preparation, like when you prepare for exam and you do it and then you forget all the content, like because you're like, okay, I'm done. So it's kind of the same thing happened to me after the first interview. I did the first interview, and I think that the lecturer that was interviewing me really liked what I was saying because we had a really interesting conversation. I was just talking about my hobbies, me overall, my approach to life, my approach to work, how determined I am, why I came from Russia, things like that. And I mentioned some of the things that I was studying economics and the things that I liked the most. And I think he was quite impressed. At least I got this feeling because I really enjoyed this conversation. And then I was like, I left the room and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then someone met me in the corridor and was like, yeah, you have another interview now, you ready? I'm like, what? I have no idea why I didn't realize that. Most probably I knew about this, but, and I went into the second interview and my head was just like, you know, this monkey. That was me, like that was in my head. I went inside the room and they started asking me, okay, what was I remember they asked me that. What was the news that you probably read recently and really something that surprised you so much in the economics world? I was like, I don't know, I don't read news. And as I told you, I was reading news that morning, and I was technically reading news almost every morning because that's something our teacher told us to do. He was very strict and serious about us doing that, like us actually reading news. And at the interview, I was asked, what's in the economics world interests you? Like, nothing, I don't know, I don't read news, never. I don't know what was going into my head back then. I have no idea. And then they were asking me to build some economics models. They gave me numbers, and I remember I was counting them. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they gave me some numbers and I was trying to count them, but they didn't count together. I was trying to focus, and because I was trying to focus so much, I couldn't focus. I don't know how it works. I was really upset after the second interview because after the second interview, I just knew I failed it all. Like, while the first interview was really good, and I just, made it. The second interview was gross. Took some pictures of Cambridge when I was going back, and I was thinking, okay, I'm not coming back. I'm not. Well, obviously, they texted me afterwards, they emailed me. No, sorry, unfortunately. It was hard to admit the reality at first and bring myself back to earth, but I did it. I was choosing between UCL and Warwick because that's actually a funny story. I was thinking about UCL because my crush wanted to go to UCL. I was also thinking about Warwick, and I traveled to Warwick in February 2017, and I stayed in the hotel on campus. And I was wandering around. They had an open day, and I didn't like it. Like, I was like, this is so much in the middle of nowhere. How am I going to go to London every weekend to party? What am I going to do? So I went to Warwick. I didn't really like it. I decided to reject this choice. And you know how you need to choose only 2 universities? Like your first choice and your second choice. I had UCL and London Business School. But that's part of this story, like a really important part. Well, obviously, to go to England is quite expensive, and obviously I'm not the person who's paying for it, it's my parents. So we had an agreement. At first we had an agreement that only if I go to Cambridge, I'm allowed to stay in the UK, because Cambridge is one of the top universities in the world. It makes sense to go there, to study there. When I failed it, I was really upset because, well, we agreed that if I don't go to Cambridge, then I go back to Russia, live there, study there, work there, everything there. And my dad thought that it doesn't make sense to go to any other uni if it's not like top 2 Oxford and Cambridge. Like, what's the point of spending all this money? And that's a fair point. However, we had a long conversation after I failed Cambridge choice. My dad agreed with me choosing some of the other universities from London, which is like UCL, London School of Economics, something popular, something that everyone knows, something that if I have a degree from there, I can get a job anywhere. So UCL it was. And so coming to the last and most interesting part of the story, I remember how much we were preparing for exams. I remember how good we thought we did, and even though we worried about this, we knew that we did good. I remember that's also an interesting part, that in the UK, in maths, you need to do mechanics. In Russia, we have physics, and then we have algebra, and then we have geometry, and all the subjects, they don't intersect with each other, kind of thing. Like, okay, they all have numbers, but that's it. That's about it. We don't do physics in maths, basically. While in England, you do it. And when I was living in Russia, physics was not one of my favorite subjects at all. I was in economics class, and we did lots of economics, we did lots of English. So when I came to the UK, I was actually doing mechanics 1, 2, and 3, and wow! It was so interesting. I know I have that thing that I can put myself to study something, even if I hate it at first. I put myself into doing this. It's hard, I don't understand anything. I cry, literally, I cry. But then after I cry, it's kind of like a revelation comes to my mind and I just understand everything. Well, it might take some hours, but it works. And this is how it worked with mechanics 3 especially. Like, I fell in love with mechanics and I was just like so sure I'll get 100% there, and I did it. Hello. How I did my exams? I failed them. UCL rejected me. What am I doing now? Coming back to Russia. I was in Georgia when I got my results. I was visiting my friend from A-levels. Shout out to Tamar. Do you remember how I got my results and how upset I was? I think we were walking around Tbilisi and I looked at my grades and I was so shocked. I couldn't stand. I needed to sit down. We sat down at some coffee place and I was just like that. Like, okay, what do we do next? And I called my dad and I told him that I'm going back to Russia. I was so upset. I was just like, Tamar, do you know any tall buildings? I want to jump. Sorry, I'm a drama queen, but that was serious. Georgia is famous because of its churches and they're beautiful. And to every one of them I was going, I was praying, I was asking God to help me somehow to get to my dreams somehow, because okay, I understand it's not like this is not the path that I need to take, but maybe there is some other path that I need to take, maybe something else. My mom called me. She was like, Sash, like, it's okay, I'll talk to your dad, like he'll be fine, maybe you can do something else, maybe you can apply to clearance. And Ksenia, shout out to Ksenia, she helped me a lot. She called me, she was like, Sasha, like, why are you just giving up like this? Like, why? You got like really good grades, like AAB, it's amazing. I got AAB in maths, economics, and further maths, respectively. And I was in a call with Warwick for a long time. And they were asking me like, can you identify yourself, tell me why you think you will be good for this university, tell me this and that, like why you failed your exams, why this, why that. So it took some time, and then there was an important moment. They were like, okay, do you want to like study here? Okay, what subject? Or there was like some finalizing kind of steps. And pow, money is finished on my phone and the call just ended. I called them again and I was talking to a different person again with all of these things. And then they were asking me, okay, what subject do you want to study? And I was like, I don't know, like what subjects do you have? Maybe I want to PPE, like philosophy, politics, economics. Maybe I want economics, maybe I want something else. I was like saying some options. And they were like, no places here, no places there, no places here as well, sorry, unfortunately. I was like, no, please, can you tell me like where you have places? They were like, we can't tell you. I found somehow a person through VK. VK is the Russian Facebook, like our social media in Russia, and I found there a person from Warwick who is working, a lady from Warwick who's working there. Shout out to her if she's watching. I don't know, maybe she remembers me. She helped me so much. I think she texted me in February when I was there on open day. She messaged me and she was like, yeah, I'm from Russia, I can help you with anything, like just let me know. I was like, yeah, okay, fine. And then I forgot about it. And then I found her in VK and I was asking, please, can you tell me like right now what kind of courses you have? Like still, where do you have places? She was like, yeah, of course. And she just sent me the list. She helped me and I'm so infinitely grateful to her. So I called again and I explained everything again. I was like, okay, philosophy, out of philosophy, sociology. I chose philosophy. It was quite of an intuitive decision as well. I didn't have much time to think about this because you need to call them straight after you know, because places just... So my main thought that I wanted to bring to this video is that it happens sometimes that you do all your best and you're really determined to achieve your goal, but it doesn't happen. And you feel yourself like a failure, like a complete, absolute failure. But don't believe this feeling, you are not a failure. Like, the more you fail, the more you actually learn. The more you fail at something, and if you don't give up and if you try again, the less you fail in the future. So kind of the more you fail, the less you fail. And I also think about sometimes, like, you know, Kim Kardashian, she's great, but just think about how many times she failed on her path. Like she wasn't born like she is right now. Obviously, she went through so many lessons of her life. She is like the biggest failure probably, because she did so much. So she failed every time she was doing something for the first time, because you fail every time when you do something for the first time, when you learn. So people that are the most successful at that point in time, they failed the most number of times in the past. And when I think about it in this way, I'm like, okay, another failure, so it means I'm getting a little bit more successful, right? Right. The most important is that you don't stop. Like, the failure is someone who doesn't go through and who is being stopped by their little failures. If you're being stopped by your little failures, then you're a failure. If you are being motivated by your failures and you look at your failures as lessons, you will become more and more successful day by day. And that's my main philosophy in life, and I failed many times, but that's good. What's also really important is that after not being accepted to study economics at Cambridge and UCL, and being accepted to study philosophy, also rejecting Warwick as a choice to study economics. All of this kind of taught me that life sometimes helps you to change your path. When I started studying philosophy, I realized that that's the subject I always wanted to study. It's my passion. It's my passion to think deeply about things, to think critically. People always used to tell me when I was studying at school, especially in Russia, like, Sasha, why are you like deep in everything? Why can't you just be simple? Why do you need to make every conversation we have about like something simple? Why do you need to make it a conversation about the meaning of life? We're tired of that. People were telling me that they're tired of my deep thinking, and I couldn't stop myself. We all have something that seems weird to people around us, especially in school, because in school people are not very accepting of everyone around them. Well, maybe these things are changing nowadays, but that was like this when I was there. And it's not that people bullied me, no, they wouldn't bully me because of that, like, it's weird, but they avoided me sometimes. They avoided conversations with me, some people. They were always also people that liked and enjoyed our deep conversation, but they were like not too many of them. I started studying philosophy and I realized that there are other people that question the world just like I question the world, and these people are not being made fun of, they are being praised as philosophers. What? So yeah, I realized that it's my thing, and life just showing me that Sasha, do this. You will love yourself, you will accept yourself after this. Studying philosophy really helped me to accept myself as well. Before I started studying philosophy in university, I always thought of philosophy as something like not serious, not serious. Not serious enough. Like, what is this? Like, what's your job? You think? Like, we all think, okay? Studying it, I realized, well, that's probably a very obvious thing to realize, but philosophy and philosophers and the power of thought is actually creating the progress for humanity as a whole. Like, even take the first feminist. I think that she's the first feminist, Simone de Beauvoir. She wrote her book, Second Sex, and she didn't even think of herself as a feminist. She was different, and she wanted to express that, and it found the response in so many people who understood her and who agreed with her and who will bring in her philosophy through ages. I love philosophy. I absolutely love philosophy. So that's my story, and I'm happy I didn't study economics in university, even though economics is important, and of course, guys, if economics is for you, if it's your passion, study it. But for me personally, I'm happy that life, some power, took me from the place where I thought I need to go and put me in the place where I should go. So guys, if you have any crazy stories, then share them as well if you want. And thank you so much for watching.